right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Seek Up Cinema. This is our seasonal event held in partnership with the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation and Film New Orleans. Tonight, we present episode 8, and our theme is Southern Women. This is mainly because the work we're screening centers on the stories of two Southern women, but also because all three of our filmmakers are NOVAC women. Our NOVAC member, Nicole Collins, and our former executive director, Darcy McKinnon, and our former program manager, Biliana Grozdanova. Nicole presents a 4-part narrative digital series, which she wrote, produced, and directed. Maternally Yours tells the story of a young woman from Alexandria who uncovers a family secret while trying to come into her own. And Biliana and Darcy present their short documentary, which they co-directed, produced by Darcy, and with cinematography and editing by Biliana. A Fine Girl tells the story of Brandi Jarrow, a successful New Orleans hairstylist and trans woman of color who is working to open a luxury salon. And we're going to start the screening momentarily. This is also going to be live streamed to YouTube and Facebook in case you have anyone who wants to watch there. After the screening, the filmmakers are going to join us for a discussion and an audience Q&A, so we'll be back with you soon.
Something with that head. Sure hope you plan on doing something with that head.
Mama, can you place these for me, please?
Now, what kind of character is this?
So you moving down to New Orleans?
What kind of character is this?
That's what's up. You moving down to New Orleans? Finally getting up out of here, unlike some people. That's what's up. I used to have a lot of good times out there.
Must be a new rehab center out there.
Now, you be careful down there, Sheena. I don't know why you want to move so far from home. Especially when they got grad schools on the internet now.
No, that's right down the road. Y'all got that country life. At least like me. Y'all got that country life.
Now, that ain't nothing to be proud of.
Mom, do you need help?
Please. My sister and your father will be here any minute. Please. My sister and your father will be here any minute.
Happy birthday,
Angie!
Look at my baby.
Cute. I like your hair.
Look at my baby.
Cute.
All right, let's have some cake.
I like your hair.
All right, let's have some cake.
Honey, you know that's too big.
Here you go, baby.
Thanks, Mom.
Honey, you know that's too big.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go, baby.
Thanks, Mom.
Here you go, Mama. Here you go. Here you go, Mama. All right. All right.
Fine, I'll come on.
Darnell, why are you cutting it like that?
Mom, it's okay.
Why does it matter?
It's ridiculous.
Calm down. It's just cake. Eat it or don't.
Oh, listen.
You know what? I'm full anyway. Princess, can you give this Chuck E. Cheese?
Yeah, of course.
Get your phone. I'll see y'all later.
Love you, sweetheart.
See you later.
Love you.
See you later.
Bye, baby.
Mom, what's going on? So you're just ignoring your always be honest policy?
Watch it.
So, I know something's wrong.
We're getting a divorce.
Does this have something to do with that Michaela girl? The crazy one from Opelousas? Who messaged me on People Note 2 years ago?
Hey, Sheena. You don't know me, but I have some cosmic news. We're sisters. I found our dad, Robert Josephs, and I'd like to meet you too. Peace and blessings.
Dad has a whole secret life. I just thought the girl was crazy. Fuck him for that.
Watch your mouth. What are you doing?
Texting Dad.
Stop with the damn dramatics. Of course that has nothing to do with it. There is no secret love child, or family, or identity. Just a failed marriage. Just leave this alone. Please. Promise me.
Okay. I'll leave it alone. I promise.
Thank you. And don't mention any of this foolishness to your cousins.
How much is your pecan candy?
$3. It's the best pecan candy in Alexandria.
Girl, pull your shorts down, please. That's embarrassing.
Girl, ain't nobody wearing my shorts but you. And how many times you gonna look at that little message?
This is stupid.
It's not. Just ask Uncle D.
I can't. I told my mom already.
You would ask my mama?
You're not even supposed to know.
Oh. Well, I guess the crazy ass psycho love child it is then. Yeah.
Thank you.
Come on, y'all.
Thanks.
Welcome.
It really is. Excuse me, ladies. Y'all try to buy these motherfucking these damn sandwiches.
Boy, bye. Tell your daddy to call me though.
You don't want your big head ass.
He fine though. What exactly are you trying to accomplish here?
I just want to talk to her. That's it.
Talk? You sound like fighting words to me.
I mean, if it comes down to that.
Why would you fight her? That's stupid. Plus, who you be fighting like that?
Look at you, Giselle. I got hands.
Ooh, broken home Sheena's a little feisty something.
Y'all go stop trying me, okay?
Whatever.
Guys! She responded! Y'all look ridiculous, by the way.
We're on a mission. These are mission clothes.
I honestly don't think you guys need to go in.
Oh, I'm going in. This is a front row seat to Jerry Springer show. Who about to miss this? Shit, not me.
All right, I'm ready.
Yes! Operation Chinese Paw in full effect. Let's go.
Kayla?
Sheena. Oh, nice to meet you, sis.
Hey there. I'll give you a moment to look over the menu.
Blessings, queen. Actually, I don't see anything I'd eat on you.
I'm sorry I was mean again.
It is fine. You were hurting. You were confused. I mean, you poison your body with this ridiculous substance they call food, and it clouds your judgment. It's okay.
Can I borrow your salt?
Oops. My bad. You wasted water on my sister on purpose, and all you gonna say is, oops, my bad.
Well, hold on, wait. Just
No, ma'am.
Whoa, Michaela. It's cool.
No. And she better not blame it on that eyelash. Yes, it's falling off.
Oh, wait. This is my cousin Ayana. And that is Giselle. They are here to support me through this. Michaela, I just need to be honest with you. My dad lied to your mom. His name is Darnell Wiltz, not Robert Josephs, and he's been married to my mom for 22 years.
It's most definitely Robert Josephs. I saw his birth certificate and under the birth chart. That shit is important.
Okay, this is a big mistake.
No? See?
What is this?
That is you.
I know that, but who is this woman? How did you get this?
I acquired it on my search. That's Granny. You know, I think it's time that you meet Robert. Lucky you, the universe agrees. You just moved back to town.
No.
yes.
Sure.
All right, let's go.
Your sister got one more time on my eyelash. I ain't gonna lie, this is some random ass freaky shit. I mean, what if Robert is a sex trafficker and this is all a gimmick? This bitch got your baby picture. And I know I seen that van on the fucking documentary.
Well, I know I'm gonna have to record this.
Ready? I think it should just be you for now. You queens understand, right?
See, I knew it!
Wait. I want to go in by myself.
So, did you miss the sex trafficking part or fucking what? Look, you about to go do big things in New Orleans. You don't need this shit.
I need to put an end to this. I'll be fine. If something happens to me, show the video.
Fine. End up in a deep freezer then. Don't call me.
Well, looky here. And you brought company.
Robert, this is Sheena. Sheena.
Damn. You look just like Shanice.
How do you know my mom?
Let's run into the deep end. We can my senses. I am this, yeah. I think I could take it. I think I could.
what makes a woman beautiful is her soul and her heart, as far as the inner beauty. As far as the outer beauty, you know, hair, lashes, silhouette, you know, body. I started doing hair when I was probably like about 7. I used to always play with my little cousin baby dolls. I started out just doing braids and, you know, little simple stuff like spirals and stuff. And I was in like 8th grade, you know, I started making money. We were always short of funds, so it just provided a living for me, you know, all the way from like 8th grade up until now.
Oh, really? I already know. I'm tired too. I've been here since 6.
Lord, gotta get it together.
Oh my God. I had a migraine.
From this?
Yeah. It's so tight. My head is huge. I have a man lining, like, you know how I still have, like you see my hair still go like how I used to get my lining before my transition. I thought about getting a hair transplant around the front.
If anything, I would cut it back.
Girl, it'll make it look even worse.
No, it would not.
Girl, that's crazy. Cutting the edge, it's still gonna grow back. Look at this picture, Ash. I want it like this.
No, let me see.
Oh.
Calm down.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So listen, this is what I found. It was already a salon at one point.
I don't like the square footage.
It looked big. Is it up? I don't know if it's upstairs and downstairs. You have to be there for 4:30, Brandi. You cannot be late. You heard me? What I said?
4:30.
What I said?
I'm gonna be there for 4:30.
Yeah, all right. Look, it's $3,500 a month.
For 1,600 square feet.
Look where it's at though. This is guaranteed customers.
It would have been like real perfect. Would have had the whole building.
Yeah.
The restaurant, the coolness and stuff.
So, tell me, talk.
I mean, the place is nice. Not exactly for what I'm going for. First and foremost, they won't accommodate the staff as far as the waiting area, stations, and shampoo and dry area.
So, as far as the space, no, you will not be able to get all the stylists that you want. But we have the places sectioned off, so you could do master suites.
It's not gonna work. Master suites run $200, $250 a week.
Right.
Those good stylists are comfortable where they are. They have their own places.
Okay.
It can be, as long as it's not too bad. Wherever it's at, I'm gonna make it luxury. But I don't want it, of course, where it's drug addicts and car burglaries and potential salon robberies and all that kind of
break-ins. Yeah. Well, again, the city has changed, so.
But if I do find like a big space in a not so good neighborhood for a good price, I wouldn't mind taking a portion and investing into detail.
Okay.
I've had 3 salons, and I did well, but the businesses that didn't do well. Salons in the barber and beauty industry are revolving doors. A lot of stylists and barbers, they don't really take their chair rental extremely serious versus their other bills. So I wanted to create a chair rental price that they can afford, whether, you know, they have like a hardship at home or it's something that's not outrageous and something that's reachable. So if I can create a high-end luxury environment at a cheap rate, you know, I'll always keep stylists or barbers, estheticians, makeup artists there in the salon because there's nowhere that they can go that's really, really nice and at an affordable rate.
You going to church, Sunday Chapel?
Yes, but you know I go to church till 7:30.
No, you got to go to 10 o'clock service.
I gotta go to 10 o'clock service.
Well, it's real nice, because that's why I'm going to be at 10 o'clock service. And you start
Why
at 10
y'all
o'clock
can't
service.
start for 7:30?
The second line don't start till 1 o'clock, Gabby.
Oh, look, please, I have things to do, like cook, go home, get an hour of sleep or whatever. I mean, I do.
The second line start at 1 o'clock.
You know,
It don't start at 10. You get too many older people at 7:30 service.
Well, what you think I am? I ain't young. I'll be 52 years old, coming up in about 60 days. Shoot.
I have been doing hair here almost, probably in a couple of days, it'll be like a year. I love it here, actually. I would actually, whenever I reopen, I'm hate to leave. They welcome me with open arms. Nice. I get to do what I want.
That's the true ghetto Israel, man.
But in a good way, you know.
Where you at?
You getting my makeup on?
Oh, you by Rocky?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
Where you at?
Pretty already?
Thank you. Bye, girl.
Bye.
So y'all had a good time last night, huh?
It was alright. It was a waste, girl. It was so good. I was like, oh my god.
You serious?
Mm-hmm. What's the new plans and stuff? You know, for the new place. Like, what's the vision? The ultimate goal.
Okay, so you know how everything is, I have everything separated, like rock candy makeup, rock candy aesthetics, yada yada. I'm just gonna call it the candy shop. You know, like going into a candy shop. You go in the candy shop, there's a whole bunch of stuff in there.
Oh yeah, that's nice. I
So
like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
so it's just gonna be the candy shop, and yeah, that's how I'm rolling.
I like that idea.
You know, B, you really should come out this way because it's upcoming. I know people think the East is da-da-da-da, but, you know, they're about to open up a big old adult gaming center. We That is coming out here. You know, this little strip about to be popping.
I'm considering it because it's closer to my house, but I really want it to be, like, more downtown. I don't go to church without my makeup. I'm sorry, and I love the Lord. But I'm not going to church without my makeup. I think I went to church like one time without my makeup, and I couldn't even stay that long. And I had to put some shades on.
Oh.
Television shows and award shows begin to tell you who left us this year. Whether you're a 43-year-old successful lawyer or a 21-year-old successful businessman or an 86-year-old grandmother, many people that started off with us last January didn't make it. Let's go before they say, so glad that I made it. I made it through. If this
We are in Carrollton area, also known as Pigeon Town. We are at an old house that I grew up at. This was actually the last house that we actually lived in before we moved out of the neighborhood. It was dangerous, you know, a lot of crime. I had two cousins actually was killed on this street, one that we found in the alley right over there. They were shot up on the corner, but like I said, everybody pretty much knew everybody, so it was kind of pretty cool. I mean, it wasn't like the best neighborhood, but pretty much everybody who lived around here was born and raised. It's a lot different now. This is pretty much all I knew as a child. Corner stores, we would be able to go to stores and get tabs, credit. Everybody was related. Everybody, you can go around the corner by your cousin, or your aunt, or your grandmother. It'll always be special to me. This is actually, you know, what made me. You know, but I live in a pretty safe neighborhood, but, you know, it's still that, you know, like I don't even know any of my neighbors. I've been in my house for over a year before I ever even got to physically see my next door neighbor. Money does a lot for me. You know, it pretty much provides, you know, everything I need and half of what I want. And it just creates a different life from what I was brought up on. Down here in New Orleans, you know, we're taught get rich or die trying. Whether if it's selling corn candy for $2 or Jello shots for $1 at the second line. It's just always ways to make money, you know, and if you can't make it here, you can't make it nowhere, because this is definitely a hustle city.
Health officials say the coronavirus is spreading faster in New Orleans than in other cities.
There's now 14,867 cases reported in 62 parishes across the state. 512 people have died. 1,809 are in the hospital, and 563 of them are on ventilators. Globally, we're nearing almost 1.3 million cases and have surpassed 70,000 deaths in the United States alone.
I signed the lease at the beginning of COVID-19. I sat on it for a while just to see if this is exactly, you know, the space that I wanted or the area that I wanted, and I think it's a really good move. I mean, it's a lot of money to put out on the front end, but I think it's going to be very rewarding once it gets up and running. I am definitely nervous because business is extremely slow after quarantine due to COVID-19. But I have faith that everything will work out. I have like about 8 stylists that's confirmed. But hopefully the coronavirus is gone by the time we open up, and we'll just ensure that everybody wear masks and just keep everything clean and disinfected, you know, daily. With good hygiene and proper protocol, I think we'll be fine. Devil was like a good friend of the family. Basically, like my aunt was one of my mom's best friends, and he passed away due to coronavirus. It's one of the things that I'm kind of iffy about with opening a salon, because it's going to be so weird with opening a salon without Dabu. We couldn't have a funeral. We just had a viewing or like a really big repast and stuff. So as soon as the city is open fully, you know, I'll give him his own little second line, because he loves second lines.
All right, everyone's slowly joining us back on the webinar. All right, well, I hope everybody enjoyed those stories as much as I did. I was fully entranced by both of them. I watched them several times now, so I feel really lucky to have been able to screen them and to have all the filmmakers here with us. I want to kick off the discussion just with some filmmaker intros. So I think we'll just go around and we'll start with Nicole Collins. If you just can tell us a little bit about your roles in your project and a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Nicole Collins. I am the writer, producer, and director of Maternally Yours, the narrative web series that played first. Like I said, I wrote it, directed, produced it, but I couldn't have done it without my amazing cast and crew. Shouts out to the Dark Brothers. They are Louisiana-based, produced, also DP'd, amongst other amazing positions on that project. Shouts out to April Riles and Khadijah, also my producers, Laurel Hari, who is our executive producer. Shouts out to everybody here at home that worked on that project. We saw some familiar faces: Lance Nichols, Bree Collins, Ariadne, Nicole Banks in there. My daughter Aiden's in there. So yeah, I know we'll get more into that. But yeah, so that's our project. We wanted to touch bases and then uncover the mother-daughter dynamic and dive into that and really explore that in identity as well, and family trauma and secrets. And so that's what it's all about.
Awesome, thank you. All right, we'll move to Darcy McKinnon. Same thing, just tell us about your roles in the project and a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Darcy. I am a documentary producer based here in New Orleans, and this project is a personal project that started while I was still the executive director of NOVAC and working with Biliana. And so Biliana and I were longtime colleagues at NOVAC. And when I wanted to make this project, I just asked her if she would help me, and she's been a creative partner on a lot of things. So we decided to co-direct it together. And yeah, the thing to know about this film is that Brandi is my former student. I met Brandi when she was 13, and I was a middle school teacher. And since the day I met her, she's always been very much herself, and always been a powerful human who has had a kind of laser focus on the life she wants to live. And every time I've run into her over the years, I've been continually impressed with what the life she's built for herself and continues to build for herself and for her family. And so she was always kind of in the back of my mind as someone that I thought deserved to be uplifted on screen. And it got to the point where I was like, it was going to be me who did it, because we're close and we've been close at this point for almost 20 years. So that said, today, this film is out in the world. Our next big festival screenings at the Frameline International LGBT Film Festival that's based out of San Francisco in June. And I'm producing a few features that are all rooted in New Orleans. I have The Neutral Ground, which is about the removal of Confederate monuments in the city, that's going to premiere at Tribeca in June. And a film called Commuted by director Naila Jefferson, which is in post-production, and a film called Role Play by director Katie Matthews, which is also in post-production. And all of them are rooted in New Orleans.
Awesome. Darcy's always busy doing amazing things.
I know, so busy. Hi, everyone. I'm Biliana, co-director of A Fine Girl. I also did the cinematography and editing. This film was actually mostly edited during quarantine. This past year, I moved to New York right after we shot the film with Darcy. So I, deep down, will always consider myself a Southern woman. So I feel very thankful to have been included in this group of fine filmmakers and Southern women. And yeah, just really excited that everyone got to watch it. Love Brandi, loved every part of the creative process, loved working with Darcy, and go Sync Up Cinema. I remember the days when we were a part of it. So this is really come full circle.
Yes, Darcy and Biliana used to be the ones hosting Sync Up Cinema, following in their stead. So next, I just want to hear about everybody's pathway to where they are now. I think that's really interesting for audience members because it can be really disorienting getting into film, and there's a million different ways. So I'd love to hear about your pathways and then just your primary focus with your work. So I think we'll just kind of keep going around in the same order. Start with Nicole.
All right, cool. Start with me. So for me, my pathway is it's kind of come full circle. I started off acting when I was a child, like in plays and things like that. And then somehow in my high school years, I got into radio. I created a teen talk show. I brought it to, I'm from Alexandria. It's about 3 hours north of New Orleans. And I came to our local radio station and I said to them, I said, in Lafayette, they have a teen talk show. We need a teen talk show. I want to create it. And they were like, fine, do it. And I was like, oh, cool. And so I spearheaded the teen talk show in Alexandria. So we didn't have to go to Lafayette to try to be, that's an hour away, to try to be on the radio in high school. And then when I got into college, I came down to Dillard University here in New Orleans, and that was 2005. That was my freshman year. So right away, 2 weeks later, I had to leave. Came right back, and one of the blessings of it all is that I was able to begin internships as an 18-year-old freshman, as opposed to waiting when it was supposed to happen. Realized I didn't like news because I got into an internship there. Quickly got into a radio station internship with Q93 here in New Orleans, and began my radio career in 2006 at the end of it as an intern. Worked long hours producing what we call air checks to prove that I was capable of being on air, because I told I was too country to be on New Orleans radio. I worked day and night producing those air checks and trying to make myself sound like I came from New York or wherever, I don't know. Finally got on air and I was like, you know what? That country is just who I am. Like, I'm going to use it. Now I'm on air. Ha ha ha. You can't take it away from me. So I was on air for Q for 8 years. Did New Orleans Pelicans, hosted their games for a while. But saying that because I was around production a lot, I was creating my own shows, creating my own topics, leading shows, seeing how pieces work in production. And then I began acting again as well in that space, and I also had a kid in that space. But every time I would be on set, I would just notice how the productions were being ran, and I would just notice, who was doing what. I was paying more attention to what was going on behind the scenes than, in front of the camera. And so I realized I was still working on air and I was still working with the Pelicans, and I had auditioned and I got roles, several roles, and then it just stopped. And I remember in high school, an English teacher of mine kept telling us, you're going to always have to write. You're going to have to write. And he would give like this evil, ha, 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 ha. You don't like to write now, but you're going to have to. And we would be like, whatever, like, this is silly. Like, just pass us and leave us alone because we're not going to have to write. Well, his voice just keeps coming back, because at that moment where I wasn't booking and I was just kind of getting burnt out by the radio station and knowing that like hosting wasn't going to be what I wanted to do forever, and wanting acting to just really catapult, and it just wasn't. That voice, like, you're going to have to write, just came back. And it was like, I got to write. So I was encouraged by some friends, close friends, to pick up the pen, start typing, create something. And my partner at the time is also my partner now. We produced something together. And my manager, she also, her and I, we did some stuff together. And that's when I realized, you know what, I'd much rather be in front of the camera. And, even not in front, behind the camera, sorry, I'd much rather be behind the camera. And even if I'm in front, I'd rather be controlling it from behind the camera as well. So I just started doing more and more work. It was horrible. I look back at it now and I cringe. I can't stand to see some of the beginning stuff, but it's a part of my journey. So you know what? Sometimes I sit there and I make myself watch it because it shows where I've come from. It shows how much I've developed. And so in 2016, I quit the radio station, I quit the Pelicans, I moved to Los Angeles. And there in LA, I was able to network and meet some really great people and create some more amazing work with folks over there on the West Side. And I was able to connect with Brel, Harry, who's a comedian. You've seen him in things like Get Out. And he funded Maternally Yours. I knew I wanted to bring Maternally Yours back home to Louisiana. I wanted to go in Alexandria and New Orleans to shoot it. So he gave me the money and he was like, here you go. He, gave me, I was full creative control. He trusted me. He trusted the other producers. And from there, I got on the phone. I was introduced to the Dark Brothers and they helped me out so much tremendously with getting a crew here. I had actors who I'd worked with here. Lance Nichols was my acting coach for a while. Bree and I took classes with Lance. It was just great. I was able to write roles for people that I had been working with for a while or that I had been following on social media for a while. And we were able to bring it back here and we were able to film it here. And so that's my story. I have some films that have won awards. Crown, my short film that I just pulled out of the festival circuit. It won us some awards. I'm excited about that. And we have some more great stuff set in Louisiana coming up. So that's my filmmaking story. And my focus now, directing and writing. I gotta write my stories. I do have these stories here. I gotta write them and then directing them. That's my focus.
That's good to hear because I think you're an amazing writer.
Thank you.
All right, Darcy. Pathway and your primary focus with your work.
I don't know if you have enough time. I'm very old. I've had a lot of pathways. I am a producer primarily. I think the reason that I directed this film at all is because I'm so close to Brandi. Otherwise, I probably would have just produced it and let someone else kind of steer the creative vision. And that's part of the reason why I relied so much on Billy as a co-creator, because I don't think directing, I love you, sweetie. Directing is not my long-term goal. I really like producing. I really like bringing the pieces together and then letting someone else be the tortured artist, figuring it out. So, and I really like raising money for good ideas, which is something I learned when I ran NOVAC too. My pathway is long and has had a lot of turns. I did study film, but not film production. And after I got out of college, I'm from Florida originally. I ended up in the San Francisco Bay Area where turn left and everybody's a documentary filmmaker. So I was able to get internships and was an assistant editor on some projects, and an assistant editor that turned into an associate producer, and then got the next job where I helped write some grants and was an associate producer and sound recordist, and then was helping out with the edit, and then ended up as a co-producer. That was after I was in my mid-20s, and I didn't want to live in the Bay Area anymore. I'm a Southern girl and I wanted to get back to the Gulf Coast. And I was stupid enough to imagine that if you just wanted to be a documentary filmmaker, you just go wherever you want to be and then you make documentary films. But 20 some odd years ago, that wasn't true in New Orleans. There wasn't really a strong infrastructure and the industry wasn't decentralized. So I arrived in New Orleans, and in San Francisco, we had BAVAC, the Bay Area Video Coalition. And so when I found out there was a thing called NOVAC, I literally showed up and knocked on the door and said, what you got going on? I'm here. I'll make some films. And it wasn't that easy. And so I actually, my first job in New Orleans was, besides waiting tables, was running a youth media program at New Orleans Charter Middle School in partnership with NOVAC. And I decided at that point that I could probably become a teacher because there didn't seem to be loads going on. This was before Katrina in film. So I ended up becoming a middle school teacher, which I did for 7 years, a few years before and a few years after Katrina, which is where, of course, I met Brandi. But I kind of always stayed interested in film and what was going on in the community. I ended up being a board member of NOVAC, doing a lot of volunteering. And I was actually just volunteering to keep the lights on and make sure that NOVAC was doing okay while the board found an ED. And I eventually found out it was my favorite part of my day. So that's when I started running NOVAC a long time ago, almost 10 years ago. And then NOVAC taught me how to fundraise, how to take an idea that Biliana would come up with off the top of her head in the middle of the day and figure out how to make it into a program that lasted multiple years and fundraise for it. And I discovered that was something I really liked. And my friends who were filmmakers, in the case of The Neutral Ground, which is coming out, a friend of mine who was a teacher with me right after Katrina, were like, I want to make a project. And I was like, I can help you put it together. And so in my last couple of years at NOVAC, I was running NOVAC, but also trying to help put these projects together. And part of the reason I ended up leaving NOVAC is because I was excited about these projects and what they and bringing them together as a new phase in my career. So I've actually only been a freelance producer for, and nothing else for a little less than a year now. But the relationships and skills that I built at NOVAC, I mean, film is a business. And so producing is the business side of film. So it's not that dissimilar. Yeah, and so that's where I'm at. Like I said, I've got a few features that I'm producing now. I've got some ideas and concepts that are in development for when these films wrap up. And it's a totally different landscape now. There's so much content being produced and so much appetite for content. And you don't have to live in LA and New York anymore, which is fantastic for me because I really like taking phone calls in my garden. And so that's, I'm never gonna leave the South, and I'm hopeful that we can continue to make content down here, which is what I wanna do.
Agreed. All right, Biliana.
First of all, thank God for Darcy's money raising skills. Very, very thankful for that throughout the years. My story, short and sweet, born in Bulgaria, raised all over the world, studied film in Spain and Chicago. Really decided that I loved music, rock and roll, and film, and how could I combine that? Well, through music documentaries. So I started, my first feature was a band about a film about a touring band from Chicago, went on tour, did the thing, started a production company with my younger sister, who is my other main creative partner besides Darcy, and then did some music films in Spain. And shortly after doing all that, moved to New Orleans for the industry for a variety of reasons, and kind of met Darcy out of the blue, and started my life at NOVAC, which I remember most of my grand ideas had to do with cocktail hours and parties and such things. So it was a good time. And
actually, I met you, Biliana, because I was looking to hire somebody at NOVAC, and Jolene from the Film Society pushed your resume across her desk and said, "Have you met the Grozdanova sisters?" And that's how we met.
That is how we met. Yeah, and through NOVAC, I obviously, both Darcy and I did a lot of filmmaker support and just watched all these different films and filmmakers and artists grow and develop. And if you have it in you, you eventually want to do that yourself as well. So we all had our NOVAC chapter and then moved on to the next thing. But couldn't have done it without the NOVAC. So that's super blessed for having graduated from NOVAC, how I like to say it. And then I went on to production management. Production managed a film for Roberto Minervini that went to Venice in 2018, and since then have been freelancing on a variety of projects. Darcy and I started working on a Fine Girl. I think it was 2018. It's been at this point, 2-3 years since the inception of, well, the inception probably was a long time ago for you, Darcy, but since when we started working on the film. Also continue to do other music documentary focused content with my sister and my partner Cameron Wheelis. Currently writing a narrative feature about my parents' journey and why we became immigrants in the first place. So doing a lot of creative work alongside also being now production manager for Wavelength Studios, which is a production company in New York that does documentaries and branded content. So also also, not enough hours in the day for what we're all trying to do, but surviving, creating, and happy.
Awesome. Yeah, I think, Biliana, you've had the longest, most winding trajectory of anyone here. And I'm so glad that orbit passed you through NOVAC for as long as it did.
NOVAC graduate school, that's what it is.
Yeah, I'm almost there. So I want to talk a little bit more in depth about your projects. I want to hear kind of an overview of it from your perspective, but mainly I want to hear like the origin story, like the superhero origin story of your projects. So I'll start with Nicole.
Okay. So my project became an idea in summer of 2019. I knew that I was working with a group, and this group had access to money, and I knew that. And I was writing a project with this group, and I thought about it. I was like, I want to create a Southern story, and I think this group will fund it because, it's going to be great, and we're working together, and they love me. And so I started thinking about issues that I myself have navigated, issues that friends close to me have navigated, because I like to focus on stories that specifically affect Black women. And so just in thinking about it, and I thought about family secrets and family trauma and mother-daughter relationships. We hear about daddy-daughter relationships, but I don't think enough goes into mother-daughter relationships. And so I cultivated this story just from different stories around me, stories that I've witnessed, and then also just experiences that I've gone through myself. And that is how I created Maternally Yours, or the basis of Maternally Yours, which is a mother who has her own secrets and who has influenced her daughter's life in one way that's totally against the way the mother grew up, or the way the mother lashed out, rather. And this daughter who's thinking that her mother is this person, and then finds out that my mom's not this person. And so how do I handle this? What does that mean for me, especially now that her secrets are affecting my life directly? And so that's how I came up with the story. Many people around me, like I said, were experiencing these types of things, and they found out through social media about their family secrets. And so that was just interesting to me, how many people shared the social media story of finding out about a sibling or a biological parent or whatever. So I was just really captivated by that, and by just the tie that a lot of us had, and wound up not working with that group. Found out some things were going on with that group, and I just needed to disconnect. But it just so happened that I had this finished product, and not even a month later, Rail was there. And it's just like, see, sometimes you just have to do it, because even when one door doesn't work out, you have it, you've already called it out, here you go. So it worked out. But that's how my story was created. I wanted to zone in on a specific story affecting Black women that I knew about, and I wanted to navigate that and explore it.
A good origin story. Yeah. All right, maybe Darcy and Billy y'all can tag team this one.
Yeah. I mean, if you know the kind of documentary work that NOVAC does, and the work that we have done collectively, you mean Gigi, you mean Billy, and throughout kind of its history, it's the kind of, I don't know, the scholarly term is participatory or collective documentary. And I think we call it at NOVAC community-based documentary work. And I think a key piece of that is always what now they talk about in documentary circles is non-extractive storytelling. And how do you make stories that are rooted in communities, especially when they're not directly your own community, that give back to the community and aren't just taking stories away. And so, Billy and I are cis straight women who are not from New Orleans and are from different backgrounds than Brandi. And even though Brandi has been a part of my life for a very long time, we wanted to be really conscientious about why would we tell this story, and how can we tell the story in a way that's going to benefit her and support her and her dreams and goals, and not necessarily just be like, a thing that's going to further our lives. And I think part of what has always, when I say that I've known her since she was 12 years old, and since she was Brandon, and now she's Brandi, and she's incredibly honest and transparent about her transition and about who she wanted to be through that transition. And so we wanted to talk to her about what she wanted to highlight. And so we went out to lunch, and I said, I've been telling her for years, you should be in a movie. And the superhero is funny because it's like, she is like a superhero. She is like a magnet. She draws people to her. And we talked about a variety of storylines, and really the one that we thought was best and that Brandi also thought was best was her trying to build this business. She has a very specific goal, which is that there aren't enough luxury salons for Black women in New Orleans. And that's what she wanted to serve. And that's where she wanted to utilize her skill set. So we started kind of building that storyline with her. And then actually one of the things that happened, which is happens a lot, just like Nicole said, sometimes it's sometimes you're chasing the money and sometimes the money chases you. We participated in a program called If Then with the New Orleans Film Society. And If Then, which used to be part of the Tribeca Film Institute, but now is part of Field of Vision. And they had a pitch that they have every year for a short documentary at the New Orleans Film Festival. And the theme was inclusive economies. And for us, that seemed like a really natural fit to the story we were telling with Brandi. And so we thought about like, how do we even kind of build that up even more? And the only other thing I'll say that I was really powerful I think one of the reasons that kind of has emerged through the film and things that we're excited about the film is that the film is neither is about Brandi being trans, nor does it ignore it. Brandi's a woman, a New Orleanian, and a Black woman, and she's a trans woman, and she's an entrepreneur, and she's all of those things. And I think it's really important when we talk about how we have diverse narratives in our society. So many of the stories that needed to be told, but that are told about trans women are tragedies, and they're kind of in the struggle story narrative. And I think what's always been a marvel for me is how Brandi hasn't struggled with herself. She's struggled like any woman has. She's struggled like any person has, but she's not a narrative of deep struggle. She's a person who has deep-rooted confidence and who has a lot of support. And I thought it was important to uplift that story as well, because the story of trans women in America and trans people in America shouldn't all be stories of tragedy. Billy, what else?
I mean, I think that's all super well said. And the question is always, why are we the ones to tell someone's story? And, Darcy said, we're both not from New Orleans. And, when Darcy came to me to partner in the process, I knew that she had the decades long connection with Brandi, that the trust was established. And now it's just a matter of, doing justice to her story. And her story, to me, is a story of a businesswoman who has a dream, who wants to feed her family, who wants to support her community. And I can relate to all those themes on a very deep level. So I think from day one, we all just gelled and became very comfortable with each other. And I was, led into their circle because it was their circle first. And then I became part of that circle of trust. And it was a very organic, creative process that I think, we're all very proud of.
Yeah.
So I think everyone's kind of touched on this a little bit. But before I go to my next question, I just want to say, audience out there, if you have questions, I'm not going to hog the whole time myself. So if you have questions, type them into the Q&A and I will ask them of the filmmakers. So you've talked a little bit about this, but I just want to hear about the importance of how you chose to tell the story. Because there's, when you pull away from the story, there's a million different ways you can tell it. And then you have to hone in on one particular way that is your voice and you feel like best speaks to your subject and your characters. So I'd like to hear a little bit about that and what you hope people take away from your stories.
So for me, it was important to understand the human qualities of everyone, even those who made the mistakes, those who were keeping the secrets, those who were participants in keeping the secrets, those who seemed to be shady, just understanding that they all had a reason in mind as to why they did what they did. Human qualities about them that we all can possess at one time or another. So it's just important to me that while we created these people who come across as villainous because of their decisions, that for me, it was still important to show how they as humans came up with these decisions. And so it was also important for me to not just show the daughter's point of view, because she's seen as the protagonist, right? She's the innocent one in all of this, and the mom is the one who is the wrong one. However, the mom had her reasons for doing what she did. So I wanted to make sure that in shooting it, we got the daughter's point of view, but we also got the mother's point of view, and seeing how the parallels between the mother and the daughter. And we did that by showing the grandmother and how the grandmother influenced her daughter, and then how the daughter influenced her daughter. So just showing the parallels between the generations and just making sure we humanized all of our characters, even the less favorable characters. That was really important for me. But then to also keep it young and fun and youthful, that's where the comedic elements come in, because the topic can be a bit dark, a bit deep, and just to give people a relief, I wanted to make sure there were comedic elements in there. The little boy that had the sandwiches when they were walking down the street, for instance, he was viral on World Star one time. It was him and his cousin. They were talking about eating sandwiches cold, and they were talking about their grades and stuff like that. And I was at my aunt's house in Alexandria, and we were pushing a truck. It was funny. We were just pushing a truck, and we were running short of time. And his brother comes out, "Hey, my brother's YouTube famous. Can he be in your film?" And I'm like, "We don't have time for that. Like, we don't have time. We literally don't. I don't care about your YouTube famous brother. We got to get these shots because we're already behind." So my producer, who served as an AD, she was the one who was just like on us the whole time. This particular time, she was like, "Wait, I think you should think about this because I know him." And then my other producer was like, "Hey, let's try to fit him in." I was like, "Any other time, y'all are on me for time, but fine, okay, cool." So he took like 30 minutes. He went to church. He was getting out of his church clothes. He came out with what he came out in. He came out with the sandwiches. It was just great. It was so funny. And he improv that entire scene. But it just worked out. And I personally feel like it's one of my favorite parts, maybe because I know the story behind it, but it just adds that relief of comedy in the midst of everything that's going on. So those were the things that were important for me to capture and to tell the story, to make sure that people receive the story, because I wanted them to stay engaged. And I just want people to walk away with understanding that people make decisions based off of the information that they currently have, based off the strengths that they currently have. And it's not always the best decision. And sometimes people deserve grace, and then sometimes you got to hold people accountable, and that your identity is what you choose of your identity. No one can make your identity but you. So even though your family has these secrets and whatever they've been through, that does not have to define who you are. You can use it to make you who you are, but you can use it to make it who you are. You have that control. And so that's the thing that I want people to leave with the most with this project.
Well, I love that. It's like such an empowering focus.
Yeah.
Before I start, I just want to say also, Nicole, I thought you did such a great job with dialogue. I thought the way that the characters talked to each other felt so like realistic and engaging. So congratulations on that. I think that sometimes is the hardest, like you can get the story down, but how to execute the dialogue so it feels realistic and natural is really challenging. So I thought you did a great job with that.
Thank you.
Yeah, if I can follow up with a question on that, because I wanted to ask you, like, the familial intimacy between the cousins and mom and the grandmother, it's just so strong. And I was wondering, was that a very natural thing for you when you were writing, or did you have to work to build that?
So So what I did is I took my daughter's markers and I created, I sat down on the floor with her markers and I just started talking with the marker. And that's how I created the dialogue. And then one time, one of the scenes, I had a friend of mine, actually, she's a co-writer on that particular episode of the episode 2, which is them in the cafe. I had a friend come and she was the third person with the marker. So she had 2 markers, I had 2 markers. And so we just started talking it out. And that's how I created that dialogue in the cafe. And then the other dialogue was me talking to myself or using the markers to talk to myself. And that's how I created the dialogue. But I think it has to do, I think by working in radio and working for the Pelicans and just seeing people. I'm also a people watcher. So if you ever see me in person, I'm just standing there looking, I'm totally looking in someone's conversation. But I feel like that helps me to just understand how people talk to one another. Because the way I talk to my friends isn't the same way you talk to your friends and vice versa. And so it's just nice to see how different people communicate. And that's also just a big pet peeve of mine when watching narrative is to be like, wait a minute, these people are supposed to, you want me to believe this person is like this and you want me to believe this person's like that, but they're talking to each other like this. It just doesn't make sense. So I think I just pay more attention to that, which just helps me to better create dialogue as well. So yeah, thank y'all for asking that. And thank you, Darcy.
Yeah, of course.
That's so unique. I'm never going to forget the markers.
I've been wanting to tell my marker story and it has not come up in conversation. So thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry for that interjection, but it was totally worth it. All right, Darcy.
I'll let Billy handle kind of the structure, and you can talk about the Lost Cribs interview, Biliana. But I think for me, it was really important for, the film is called A Fine Girl, named after the song from, I think, 1980, Brandi, You're a Fine Girl. Because when she was in like a senior in high school is when she really started to kind of present more as a woman and use the name Brandi. And I would always sing that to her. And she was like, I don't know that song, Miss McKinnon. And so it was always a joke between us that I would say, Brandi, you're a fine girl. And so it was really important to me that she look beautiful. I wasn't interested in like any kind of brutalist realism at all. I wanted Brandi to be gorgeous because she's intentional about the way she looks. And I thought it was important to represent that. So then I just told Billy that and made sure Billy did that. And the other thing I'll mention that I'm proud of with the film is that, again, there's this theme of Southern women. So Brandi is obviously the central character. But throughout the film, there are other Southern women in her life, Coco and Rocky, and even Dabu, who's gender nonconforming in my book, although I don't know if they would say that, who surround her and lift her up. And so we decided to get a local New Orleans band, to cover the song Brandi, You're a Fine Girl, because of the title. And that's the song you hear at the end, which is the original Peanuts Brass Band, which also has one of my students in the band. So it felt very full circle, this idea of like, this is a female team, this is a group of women who are supporting each other. And that goes all the way through to the music recording at the end. So that's part of kind of the intentional style of storytelling. But Billy, you should talk about the structure of the film because it changed a lot.
It did change a lot. And, I think for a short film, we did shoot a lot. So there was a lot to play around with in the edit. We had 2 approaches. We structured a lot of interview, and we did a lot of interviews. We did a lot of direct questions to Brandi to get her story out there in interview format. But then I think as we were filming, we really discovered that we don't need the interviews to be as present, and just her everyday interactions, conversations, emotions guided the story anyway. So I think in the first edit, we combined interview and verite and had, they all had their moments throughout the film. But in the end, we decided to just wipe away all interviews from the visuals. So we just kind of had this voiceover throughout, which, I hope felt natural. It felt natural to us because that's what we did. We had a Mariah Carey crib style interview where, Brandi was in her bed, very luxurious and glorious. So, it changed a lot from how we had initially conceived it, but that's the fun of shooting a lot and then figuring out that you can essentially have many different films, and then we chose this one. And in addition to just that, like, form stuff, we also had a lot of epilogues. We shot before COVID, we shot right when COVID happened, we shot after COVID. As you see in the very, very end, Brandi does open her salon, but that came, we had like 4 epilogue style shoots, right? Something like that, Darcy. So we kept like
the film that we premiered at the New Orleans Film Festival did not have Brandi didn't open her salon until after so like the film that we premiered is not the film that is today. Poor Billy had to I was like, I'm sending you a drive, you got to get back in the edit. So
that's it was great. I mean, maybe every time you shoot more, there's a potential to restructure the entire film, but then that's like a downward spiral that no one wants to go down. So hopefully it works, having these little moments during and after the credits, just because it's life and it happens, and a lot happened, and I think we're finally put the period at the end of everything and have our final piece, and that's okay if a film evolves during different festivals and different screenings, because that's what happens. Yeah.
All right, we have a question from the audience from India. What are some ways that you develop trust with your team during the filmmaking process?
Sorry, are we doing this in the order again? So that's a great question. And that's something that I've had to learn over the years. Just understanding that team chemistry is everything, and knowing whether or not the team is going to have chemistry before we get into the production process. I had a short film that I did in 2017 in Los Angeles, and I was an actor in it. I wrote it, produced it, and I was an actor in it. And I had a woman director, and I had a male DP. Well, we had several pre-production meetings, several at his request. And, there was a vibe there. But I just kept ignoring it because, it's like, okay, everybody's on board. This is our 5th meeting. Cool. Everybody should be on board. Well, they have the production. It's like I don't know what was going on with him, but it's like he had to prove that he knew more than our woman director. And it was the butting of heads all day. And anybody that works on the set with me knows that an experience, I love experiences. So not only do I want the film to do well and to look good, I also want your experience on the set with me to be great too. I want you to say, oh, I like being on a set with her. A set with her is fun. Like, oh, we have a great time. This is the best set I've ever been on. I love that. That just makes me feel really good. So this particular set, they just kept going at it. And it was one time where I had to literally sit them both to the side, like kindergarten, which, by the way, Darcy, I was a substitute teacher. Nothing I brag about, because I was the worst substitute teacher you would ever meet. Yeah, I'm so serious. So anyway, we'll talk about that later with drinks. But so I had to sit them aside. I literally felt like a teacher, and I was like, hey guys, what's going on? Do you want to express your feelings? What's going on in your mind? Let's talk about it. We have a film here. Actors are here, crew's here. What's happening? Let's talk. Maybe I was more like a therapist. I felt like a kindergarten teacher. And so, we got through the first day. They were able to hash out whatever was going on. We got through the second day, thankfully. We didn't do a third day, thank God. But after that production, I just realized how important it was to pay attention to all signs, to make sure that people get along, that they can work together. And knowing that ahead of time, because if not, then I will run into another situation like that where tension is just high, where everybody there is just kind of like, you know, thankfully it didn't affect the product, but it definitely could. And so now I like to interview people ahead of time, people that I work with. I found within the Dark Brothers and within Khadijah, who serves as my AD and producer, I feel like they're my forever people. So even if they just serve as producers on anything I work with, I feel like I want to keep them around at all times. And it's funny because with Maternally Yours, I was going to work with another DP, but it was like we could never schedule a time to talk. I wanted to have all crew locked in by like a certain time. He was working, he was busy. I totally get that. But I felt like this just wasn't as prioritized as I would have liked it to be. And I felt like, if we are having such a struggle in the pre-production trying to get on the same page, it's just not going to work. And while I do want to work with him still, I just had to come to terms, hey, Nicole, this is just not the project. This is not the time. It's okay. Tell him in a nice professional way that this is just not going to work right now, but later on we'll figure it out. It's okay to do so, because I think sometimes I have an issue of once I start working on something with somebody, or once we start talking about it, that now I have to be committed to them, and that's not true. And so, we talked it out. We're still cool. It was great. And then I had already met the Dark Brothers, and we're just talking with them about like some associate producer type work. And then they just came on full board. And that became a family type situation. And so that's how I was able to trust them, is just by talking with them and developing the relationship in pre-production. And I deal with trust issues in general. So a lot of that is just with me saying, hey, Nicole, these people have shown that they can do the work. You are getting them to do this work. Let them do their job and you focus on your job. So, a lot of it is just also me just releasing that sense of control that I have, or the trust issues that I have in my personal life. Because, no one wants to work with someone who's micromanaging them all the time. No one wants to work with someone who doesn't trust them. So it's a yin and a yang to it. You have to listen to yourself. You got to pay attention to vibes and intuition, but you also have to release control and allow yourself to trust these people. And, first day of set, I always like to introduce my team, have a little meeting where we, there was one time when we popped a champagne bottle beforehand, like this is going to be a success ahead of time. Let's go ahead and celebrate. And we all, just kind of to build the morale of everybody on the set. So those are the things I did. I know I got a little long-winded with that, but that's something that I really just have learned. I've had a bad experience. And so now that's something that's really important, is just the importance of a team and vibes with the team and working together as a team.
That's awesome. You've got like such a great process. That's very good for people to hear.
Trial and error.
How to
trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, trial and error. That was that one set in 2017. Trust me, that was hell. Ooh, okay.
Well, my process is work with somebody for 4 years, live next door to them, rely on them for everything, and then be like, make a movie with me, please. I mean, in all seriousness, part of this is the NOVAC love as well. I mean, not just Biliana, but we had so much help. Of course, I was like, this is going to take 2 months. It took 2 years to make a film. So in that meantime, Billy and Cameron moved to New York. So there are times when we had to rely on other people to do pickups, because I don't touch cameras. And we had it's friends. When you look at the credits list, it's friends who are colleagues down the line. And that's, I think what's beautiful about this project, not every project, but nearly everybody that's on the credits list is somebody that we worked with at NOVAC. And that's how we met them. And we became, friendly professional colleagues or real friends. And it was people who, when we would say, this is what we're doing, they'd be like, oh my God, yeah, I definitely want to help out. How can I help out? And that's who our crew is. Billy is a one-man band, so she could have done every single thing herself, and frequently did have to. Even because I'd be like, I can't go because I have a meeting at NOVAC. Can you just go film this with Brandi? But it was definitely relying on people that I knew well. And I think we are especially lucky in New Orleans today to have just such a strong independent film community, and institutions like NOVAC, like the Film Society, and even just yesterday, like Steve at Panavision hooked me up. Like we have like the big industry people who are support our indie film work too. So I feel really like just really blessed to do this work here now, and because I think we have a really strong network of people and professionals that I've been able to get to know over the past 10 years.
Echoing all of that. And yeah, I think from the beginning, we knew each other, we're friends, we're colleagues. And honestly, you have one life, one filmmaking career, and I just want to make movies with my friends. So I don't want to even mess with the trust issues among, gathering crews. That it's just the types of films that we make, or the types of documentaries, are just a much more intimate platform, and you want to do that type of stuff with your closest circle. And I think that was it. And then Brandi and Darcy had their trust established from a long time ago, and she was very trusting with us, and we had a lot of intimate moments. And then she, I think, just knew that we were going to craft her story in a way that she would be accepting of it and proud of. So somehow miraculously we're on the same page from the beginning. And obviously, she saw the film and never once said yes, no to this, very like organically created something together.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that there's a couple times where I think she suggested things that we would film, and I don't know that we would have chosen it, or that we even knew where it would be in the film, but it was important to her, and I think it was important for us to take that lead from her. And we did show the film to her and at Rough Cut stage, and I think we would have, if she'd felt strongly, taken notes from her, because I mean,
definitely,
we're not the ones on screen. It's her life that she's giving to us to put on screen. But she didn't have any, and she really trusted us. And at the end of the day, she loved the film, and her grandma loved the film, most importantly. So I think I think if nothing else were to happen with this film, I know that we created a creative product together that we all feel really good about. Luckily, other people seem to like it too.
Cool. Well, we're coming to the end of our time here, so I'm gonna throw out one more question and then we'll wrap it up. I'm wondering if there are any surprising things you learned during the process of making your project, and if how did this project in particular help you grow as a filmmaker?
What I did learn, which helps because I needed to do this anyways, I needed to thank everyone who donated on crowdfunding. We did a Seed and Spark campaign, because while his contribution helped with the production, we were flying people. I flew two people in from LA. And then I had everyone else come up from New Orleans, and we needed to give people gas money and house them in Alexandria. So we did a Seed and Spark campaign, and that helped me to realize that, sometimes you just have to ask for the money, because I'm one of those people that I need to have a Darcy spirit where I can, just do it more freely. As my friend said, a friend the other day, we were talking about raising money. It's like, I'm just going to get butt naked and just bare all and just ask. And I'm like, okay, you do that. I'm just stay conservative and you tell me how that goes. Now I'm like, you know what? I can get butt naked too. I can do it too. Let me ask for the money. And it was just like, then I start breathing. I start getting anxiety. I'm like, okay. But I think about Maternally Yours, and I think about me doing it, even how anxious I was, but we did it and people were so supportive, and it made me realize, and I feel like that's important in general, and no matter what you do in life, to know that you have support of others and that people are rallying behind you, and that people like your stories, and that your stories are needed, that they feel like your stories are needed. And it gives you just a boost of self-confidence, and it helps you to keep going, in ways that, you know, you may not feel like it. And so that was one of the things that I did learn from this project, because it was very community oriented. When I went to Alexandria, they brought the news station out. We don't get films up there, y'all. So they brought the local news station, came out on the set, and they did a news story about it. It was just, you know, they did a write-up on us. It was great. It was great. But that just made me realize just how much film affects community. New Orleans has a bigger film community, but I still feel like whenever there's independent film done here, and I feel like the community rallies behind you. People want to offer you a location or their home or food or whatever. And just having the community behind you, and then not only just having them behind you, but also just seeing what you're giving to them. It feels really good. So I was able to shout out to my Seed and Spark contributors. Thank you all, because we definitely needed you. And I think I see someone on here that donated. So that's what it helped with. And it helped me to trust. It helped me to trust everybody. We had a really great crew. We have a really great cast. And I can list all of their names, but it's going to take a while. But I just want to thank each and every one of them, because this project, I think if I had trust issues before on the set, I feel like they've been rectified. And it helped me to feel more confident as a director as well. So those are the things that this film has done for me.
I think it was hard to step into directing. I'm comfortable supporting other people's visions, but I felt a responsibility, and I have a lot of opinions about how Brandi's story is going to be told, because I consider her to be my people. So that was scary, because it's really easy. Like, Nicole, I could leave here and I'm going to tell somebody about your project and be like, you got to meet this filmmaker. She's amazing. It's very easy, I think, to hype up other people when you think that they have a good idea. And I think it's difficult to step up and represent your own creative. That's really scary. And then I also think, I think I suspected this, but this film is such a good example of how, like, everybody involved with this film just lifted each other up. When I think about, you know, Brandi's friends Coco and Rocky and Dabu, and that she goes to this church, City of Love, and which is like the spot, like everybody goes to that church, and like how welcoming they were, and how the fundraising process for this film, we were able to raise the money that we needed to do every piece of the film. And it was just about, like, I think because we stepped into it with this trust and this great character with a great story and like a great collaborative spirit, like everybody kind of lifted the film up, both in front and behind the camera, and supporters. And so I was just really, this is the first thing that's like out in my career since I've, you know, in the past 15 years as a filmmaker, as a creative product. And there's a lot more coming. And I think it was just a big confidence booster to be like, when you stand in confident community with the people you work with, everybody's going to lift up the film. And so I feel like when I watch some films, you could tell that, like, the director had a vision, right? Or this is a DP heavy film, or this is, you know, celebrity is the reason this thing's being made. But this film, I think, feels to me like, it feels like a hug when we watch this film. Like, it's like, I know these are people that care for each other and cared for this project, and that's why it's out in the world. So I think it was a really, of all the things that I could have done to be like, I'm leaving, you know, running a nonprofit, and I'm stepping into creative work on my own, which is scary in itself. This was the project that feels like a big hug. Like, go ahead, you can do it, Darce.
Oh, it does feel like a big hug, doesn't it? Needless to say, like, I learned a lot, because through every film, you just learn different things that, you know, can't really pop into my head right now. But more technically, I think I learned how to work remotely and collaborate remotely with someone, which is what Darcy and I did. just, we obviously were together on location, but then throughout the editing process, it's an effort to figure out how to keep those creative juices flowing when you're on different schedules, different cities. So that was, I think we did that really well. Learned how to pitch. I don't think I'd ever really done a live pitch before until we did the If Then pitch at the New Orleans Film Festival 2 years ago. So those are very like specific things. And then, every time you cut something, every time you shoot something, you learn more about the art form and the craft, and just that's what I like to say.
Awesome. Y'all, thank you so much for sharing your projects with us tonight. I want to make sure everybody knows where they can tell all their friends to go see things that they watched here tonight. So Maternally Yours is screening on Kweli TV. That's KWELI.TV. And Darcy and Biliana, where can everybody tell their friends to watch A Fine Girl next?
Oh. You're muted. I almost made it without. We're currently streaming on Real South, which is PBS Digital Strand. So you can find us on Real South. And then we'll be screening at the Frameline International, which is the oldest LGBT film festival. And they're going to be virtual this year, so people can buy passes to that. And Brandi is opening up her new bar, Traffic Nola, right next to the salon that she opened up in the film on May 30th. And she's having a huge drag brunch, so everybody should go to that as well.
She is so inspiring. I have got to do more within a day. All right, y'all. Well, I'm just going to give you a little NOVAC news before we head out. We have our NOVAC summer camps running from June 7th to July 2nd, free grades 8 through 12. So go to our website at novacvideo.org if you're interested. What is mainly on our minds right now is Give NOLA Day. Give NOLA Day is coming up on Tuesday, May 4th. You can donate to all your favorite local nonprofits, givenola.org/NOVAC. No dollar is too small. Thank you in advance. And we're just so glad you could join us for our Sync Up Cinema series. This has been in partnership with the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation for many years now. We are now in partnership with Film New Orleans, and who is primary sponsorship for our new Sync Up seminar. So we alternate every month between our Sync Up cinema screening and filmmaker discussion and Sync Up seminar with an industry professional. So please keep an eye out on social media for our upcoming dates. Thanks again for being here.
And hi, Leanne, and hi, Deuce, and hi, Naomi. Look at my friend.
I have some highs too. Hi, Guion. Thank you for you edited our project. Shout out to Aiden, my daughter. She's in it too. And thank you, Darcy and Biliana. Thank you guys for sharing your wonderful project. I love it.
Thank you, Nicole. So excited.
Yeah, and Nicole, let's talk more about what you can do with NOVAC.
I'm channeling my inner Florida Darcy. I'll see you in True Falls next weekend.
I know. We're going to our first
y'all.
in real life festival next week. It's going to be so exciting.
All right, bye. Congratulations on Tribeca. That's amazing.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. Very exciting.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.